Hello, hello, hello. How you all doing? Topics for today: Obama and Trump, Ozzy Osbourne and Asmongold's dad, men and women. So three ends tonight. That's weird. So Obama and Trump. Basically, I think the entire thing is manufactured. If you're not keeping up with the news, Trump is dropping an investigation into Obama for election meddling. So I'm not going to say that there wasn't any meddling by Obama into the Trump campaign. There obviously was. There was obviously an order from the top to try to disrupt Trump and his subsequent administration as much as possible. There's obviously organization stuff happening behind the scenes to basically coordinate the American defense intelligence industry against Trump. Why? I think they were honestly maybe a little bit scared, and then honestly, they saw that it could be a disruption to the things they wanted to have happen. But that's not what this is. This is not an investigation to that. If things are as I suspect, and there's a reason why Democrats and Republicans both don't want the Epstein list to be released, the smart play would be to create a new news story to bury the Epstein thing so nobody's talking about it. So if Trump doesn't want the list to be released, Obama doesn't want the Epstein list to be released. I mean, know Obama had a lot of control over the Biden administration behind the scenes. Is it that much of a conspiracy theory to say that they would work together on it? No, they're obviously working together on it. It's a big story. It's obviously a big story. No, I might use real facts or factoids or whatever. Sure. I take it there's a 0% chance that anything actually happens from this. It just seems to me like a giant way to bury the Epstein story for probably sensible reasons. If Democrats and Republicans agree on something, it's either something that makes sense or something so evil we don't even want to consider it. It's probably a blackmailing operation by intelligence operations, and there's probably a good reason for it too. I know that sounds like such cope, and it is. I think it should be released, but that's what they're doing. You can agree or disagree with that. The Epstein list should be released. This is why the entire Trump Obama thing is coming into play, because they're trying to distract from a story that neither side really wanted to cover. So that's the situation there. Next story. Osmongold. I'm sorry. Osmongold. That actually kind of works. Osmongold. No. So Ozzy Osbourne has died. Salute to the great rock star. Um, Honestly, it is amazing how I listened to Sirius XM, the Ozzy's Boneyard talk about Ozzy's passing for a while, and it was so wholesome. Like, dude, it was just so wholesome. Everybody calling in and how much Ozzy Osbourne made a difference in their lives and his thinking, and like I listened to some of the lyrics too. Like the guy was a good had good dialogue, had good lyrics. It wasn't dark. It was most of what he wrote was right and fog. So goodness and then confusion and not knowing what's going on, which is pretty good as far as like there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of wholesomeness there. And apparently he did believe in God, which is you're like, "Hey, heavy metal is evil." It's like, well, heavy rock stayed more Christian than every other part of Western culture. It just did. And some of that's due to people like Ozzy Osbourne that kind of gave people an option to see religion in a more non-church way. And I think that kept it going. And this might be a bit of a dark way of putting it, but given where UK is going right now, it might be good that he doesn't see what happened next. That might be a blessing in disguise. And he had a concert like 2 weeks before he passed, like 2 weeks ago. Like to have a rock concert 2 weeks before you die, that's vodka to the end, man. That's awesome. But it was just a life well lived. Like he was a musician. He did some bad things, obviously, but he had a family. He had a wife. Like he had a full life that really helped a lot of people. Which brings me to Asmongold's dad. So Asmongold's dad is not dead, but does have a pretty bad form of cancer. And so I was listening to the interview between I was listening to Asmongold's stream, and he was going back and forth with his dad. Like a typical parent, his dad would not get off the phone. but it's just like kind of saying, it was a wife, like maybe he doesn't seem like the best person, but he was a father and he provided and he was a friend to people and he was an enemy to some people. And there's something kind of inspirational about these two figures, where one is the high and mighty, super, super well known, and one is well, frankly, his son is well known, but some no name 70-year-old guy. And they both generated good for the world. Ozzy through his music and his writing, and Asmongold's dad by producing Asmongold, who as much as anybody, is the voice of young conservatives, the young conservative movement is led by Asmongold, and it's less capitalist than the past conservative movements and more just trying to take care of regular people. Um, I think those two people fit together somehow. So, cheers to Ozzy Osbourne dying, not Tim dying, but cheers to Ozzy Osbourne. His music will be with us for a very long time. His influence. Yeah, cheers to the guy. He was a father figure for a lot of people in Gen X and younger millennials. That's not nothing. But anyway, one original thought that I actually came up with is that men and women are going to be what's happening. This is back more to politics, but sort of. Basically, women are going off the way left politically, and men are moving steadily to the right, and it's noticeable, right? So, who is going to produce the next generation? Well, if you talk about two left wingers, they're probably not going to have kids, right? Or at least very low, less odds to have kids. And then you got right wing men and right wing women who starting to get together. There aren't that many right wing women, so they'll have an impact, but not that much. What do you think? No, the next generation is going to be formed by basically right wing men who lie about what they think to left wing women. And that's the starting point. People are like, oh, lying is bad. All right. Okay. Yeah, lying is bad. Okay, fine. But what comes next? What you're going to have is you're going to have, well, one, people get separated because of politics, maybe. Or two, what I've seen more of is people kind of come together in the center between two sides. So what I've seen happen is that right wingers kind of moderate some of their capitalist impulses. Meanwhile, the women moderate some of their more culturally liberal attitudes. And so they end up somewhere in the middle that's not neocon and not neoliberal. So it's the middle, but it's a new middle. And I think that's where everybody's headed right now. The internet seems to be aligning along a new middle that's not the old middle. It's not going to be free trade and money. That's not going to be the future. Neo feudalism is an idea. Feudalism is not as bad of a system as it's been portrayed as by, well, essentially by Protestants. No offense, Protestants, but you guys kind of screwed up a lot of stuff. Um, it might be that. It's going to be more vocal. And the way we're going to get there is going to be through war, demographic collapse, economic collapse, and all these terrible things. But destruction by itself doesn't get anywhere. What gets there is the next generation. There's somebody walking through the history lane. It's not just famine. People are experiencing famine. It's not just economic or demographic collapse. It's people experiencing economic and demographic collapse. There is a generation that walks through this, and the question is what that generation is going to look like. What's really weird is that people are like, oh, it's going to be a really different demographics. It's like maybe. What's really funny is that if you look at the future, there's been a lot of pushing to get everybody to go to college. Well, it's not going to be valuable in the future. College. So, what groups of people are going to be best suited for the blue collar jobs that are in demand to keep everything running? Yeah, it's gonna be men. It's not gonna be women. It's gonna be men. And that's kind of worries. We're gonna go back to traditional gender roles as soon as office work goes away, which is hilarious in my opinion. But the point being is that there's going to be a coming together of men and women. The men and women who survive this bottleneck are going to be a new political faction. That's not right, that's not left. I think it's already forming if you see Gen Z's attitudes towards things. It's not majority though. It's like a fraction of Gen Z that's this. But that fraction is going to grow as the generations continue. Because otherwise, the people who are willing to bend their frameworks are going to be able to survive, the other people won't, genetically, or as far as family culture goes. Anyway, that's all I got. Cheers.